Every religion, every worldview is telling a story. They're trying to take the things we know about the world and fit them together into a big picture. These religions can't all be right, of course.
You know that A in the circle is a symbol for anarchism, not atheism, right? I'm pretty sure anarchism is not a religion.
Because each story is different from the others. And most stories religions or philosophies tell simply don't make sense of reality. The pieces of their puzzles just don't fit the real world. One story, however, stands out from all the rest. In the Christian story, all the puzzle pieces fit together perfectly. And they fit the way the world actually is.
Well, only if you think the world actually is 10,000 years old or younger, or if you think the world actually is a place with talking snakes and people who return from the dead.
Perfectly. This is just another way of saying the story is true. Really true. True in the deep sense. True in the way gravity is true.
The way the theory of gravity is true is that it is the most parsimonious and consistently predictively effective explanation of the phenomena to which it relates. That is not a sense in which any religion can be considered true.
5 words describe the plot of the true story of reality. They tell the most important things that happen in the order they take place. God is first in the story, since He's the main character. He's the one the story is all about, the king who rules his kingdom, the father who loves his children. The world He created was just right, filled with goodness and purpose. God made man to share a wonderful friendship with Him.
I suppose if you think that the expectation of obedience is always the basis of a wonderful friendship.
We are not gods, of course, but we are like God in a very special way. Deep inside each of us is a mark, the very image of God Himself.
What does any of that mean? Where exactly is this mark? What does it mean to say that it is the very image of God Himself? Do you mean I have a tattoo of Yahweh's face on my liver? Because that's what it sounds like. If this is a metaphor, then what does the metaphor represent? What does any of this actually mean?
Giving every human absolute value, deep worth, and ultimate significance. That's why every single human being is beautiful. But there's something else. God created us with freedom, which is a good thing. But freedom means there's a choice. If choosing good is a possibility, then so is choosing evil.
Then why is allowing choice a good thing? I'd rather be able to only do good things and not find evil things even remotely tempting than have the choice and inclination to choose evil. Why would anyone prefer to have the ability or inclination to choose evil? What value could that possibly have? Why would a loving God allow such a thing?
And that's what happened. Though humans are still beautiful, we are now also broken because we have betrayed our friendship with God. We have rebelled against our King.
A relationship between friends and a relationship between a king and his subjects are two very different, incompatible things.
This rebellion plunged man into darkness, despair, slavery, and death. And that would have been the tragic end to our story, if it wasn't for an amazing plot twist. God had a rescue plan. He would come to our rescue. He entered human history as Jesus. Jesus was God Himself.
Okay, let's assume that Jesus came to rescue us. Why did He wait several thousand years to do it? Why didn't He rescue us immediately after Adam and Eve ate the fruit? If He's all-powerful, why did He just sit around with His thumb up His ass for millennia while He watched people suffer?
But He was also a man, just like us. Unlike us, though, He obeyed the Father in everything. Yet He was sentenced to death and brutally executed on a cross. Then, 3 days later, He defeated death and decay and came to life again. Why did the innocent one die for a crime He didn't commit? He died to pay the Father for crimes we committed.
So He sacrificed Himself to appease Himself for crimes He didn't do. Okay, got it. Makes perfect sense.
He died to make a trade. His innocence for our guilt.
So now we're innocent and He's guilty? Because unless Yahweh is now the guilty one, that's not really a trade.
His perfect life for our broken lives. The decision we make about this trade, whether we receive this gift or reject it, will determine what happens to each of us at the very end of the story, at the final resurrection. Those who remain in rebellion will be banished from God's presence forever, experiencing only loneliness, misery, and ruin.
Why would people who don't want to be around a God in the first place feel lonely when banished from His presence?
Those who receive the gift of God's mercy will live in a wonderful new world with Him, knowing the kind of life our hearts have always yearned for. We will be His and He will be ours forever. If you're a Christian, then this is your story. If you're not a Christian, this is still your story. Because this story is not a myth created by ancient people to give a sense of meaning to life.
Lol, yeah it is. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.